few things. There's some teams in odd spots in college that and I talked about that last week. There's about 6 or 7 games that they jumped off the pages. All right, we got a couple teams here in an odd spot. I called it out. I called out that Bama thing. I didn't say Bama's going to lose. It was one of those Saturdays where you felt like something was going to be weird, and it turned out to be Bama. We see that Bama team every couple of years, but there's about 5 or 6 games I'm looking at this week that I think there's some odd spots going on that I'm kind of questioning. And then I had a handful of people send me messages specifically about some bankroll management stuff. And then there was some posts, so I'm going to talk about some of that stuff, and then I'm going to talk about Iowa. I'm going to talk about the University of Iowa. I'm going to talk about a game tomorrow night that I like, and then whatever anybody else wants me to talk about, I'll go there. But the NFL record is kind of fixing itself. The Circa was 3-2 last week. Plus, we threw out that Steelers play. So last week is 4-2. We're right at 500 now for the NFL, and college, it continues to be a beast. We're looking at a 27-13 record in college, and then we went 500 last week in the CFL. So CFL is still winning season by about 66%. So CFL is by far strongest. College right behind it. So we're having a good season as long as we're managing it correctly. I'm going to hit bankroll real quick because I had questions. I had some direct messages. So I'm going to say this: if you are not paying yourself every single week with the picks that we have, please send me a direct message or let's talk about it here in a couple minutes. But everybody should be winning every single week, because I feel like even on the weeks where we had a rough one a couple weeks ago, there were some live picks up there that either broke us even or caused us to win. This past week, college specifically, there was about 7 or 8 wins, live bet wins that were thrown out there that elevated us past the 4-3. It should have taken us somewhere around 10-3. But if you haven't paid yourself, please do it. Like if you're looking at your bankroll, and again, I just say $100. Some of you are betting 300, 400, 500, thousands of dollars a game, which is great. Some of you might be betting $5 a game, but I just say 100. If you started with $100 and you're sitting right now with $600 or $700 in your Bovada account or your sportsbook account, and you haven't paid yourself, pay yourself immediately. Like, pay yourself now, tomorrow. You're just setting yourself up to make a degenerate gambler kind of move. So it's, again, if you've grown an account from $100 up to $600 or $700, cash yourself down to $250 right now. Pay yourself, get it out of there. Keep yourself from doing something stupid right now, because I trust the NFL after this past weekend, and what I'm seeing in the spreads, I feel better about the NFL. So we're going back to full units NFL. This past week, I stayed with smaller units. But again, go cash yourself out and get yourself on a cash out schedule. I don't care if you make $100 this weekend and you only cash out $50. Like, you just have to do it. This is, I realize I sound like a broken record, and I'm not sorry for it. This is no different than stocks. A 10% gain coming out of this weekend, that's fantastic. You guys gain 10% on something in what we're doing with stocks during the week. You gain 10% on 2 days. Day trading, I mean, that's obviously, we all want a home run, but I mean, that's a pretty good thing. So and obviously our plays are doing way better than that. But so please go cash yourself out, and then get yourself straight on when you cash out. I'm on a 2 cash out schedule right now. The plays during the week, and I'm saying plays during the week because I got John from GMF. God, the guy's a brilliant genius when it comes to baseball. But I'm jumping on his baseball plays, and I'm sharing them with everybody when I get them specifically. But Monday through Thursday, I'm hitting some of those baseball plays, and I'm treated that's its own portfolio. And then when we hit Thursday, Friday, Saturday, that's its own. And so in some cases, I'm cashing out Friday, I'm cashing out Sunday morning, and then Monday morning. So I'm 2 or 3 cash outs a week. And it's, again, don't let yourself believe that your cash out is too small. If you cash out $20 and you do that 3 times a week, that's $60. I don't know what kind of cars you guys drive, but that's a tank of gas. And again, some of you are betting $100, a couple $100 a game. So if you're cashing out $100 3 times a week, take that $300, if that's what the number is, times it by the 4 weeks in a month. I mean, that's a lot of people's mortgage or rent. So it's don't let yourself think that it's too small and it's not enough. If you've grown an account from $100 to $500 or $400 and you have not taken a cash out, that is not the strategy that I'm preaching here, and that is not where you need to be. Cash yourself down to $250, and you're up $150 bankroll. Press your unit from $7, press it up to 18, and get yourself on track. That's just the way that this thing's got to be. There's been a lot of talk about unit size. Is everybody good with what I just said there? Or Jesse, are you making fun of me saying blah?
I was making more along the sense with that.
Well, I mean, I say it because if you treat it like an investment portfolio, you're going to get paid that way. If you treat it like you're just having some fun, I'm just going to shoot the shit and have a little bit of money in this game, and no rhyme or reason to how you're actually managing this. Like, nobody that's listening would ever take the money that's in this account in a brokerage account and recklessly treat your shares of Apple or your KO calls or whatever it was. We just wouldn't treat it that way. You'd pay yourself and you cash out and you roll it into something else. And yeah, I've heard Chris talk about it all the time. Chris actually taught me that he doesn't buy options contracts unless he could buy 5. 5's the number, because when it shoots up real quick, he cashes it out, breaks himself even, lets a couple of them run, and there's a strategy to it. And that's investing, and that's what we're doing here. Units. I'm going to talk units. So there's been a lot of messages. So understand what I do. Again, you don't have to do what I do, but it's, if you are $100 player, I will recommend that $7 is your unit, because you bet 10, you got 10 plays, right? 10 plays that should cover college, it should cover NFL, and then you got three $7 units. Actually, you got 4 $7 units remaining. That's either for live action. That's either for I'm just going to leave it there in case I lose every single wager I played. And if you lose every single wager that you played, you find a new hobby. Or yeah, I don't really know what to say there. But again, the quarter unit, half unit thing, that's not something I do ever. Every time I place a wager, 90% of the time, it's a full unit. When I have money on one game, or when I have action going at one time, if I cash something early, I go back in for half the profit of that, because I still have other action going. But I don't ever like something more or less than the next. I mean, as I'm looking at the 5 games, I'm like, this one's juicy. This is going to be an outright dog. But I don't bet 1 out of the 7 games for a quarter unit or a half unit. I don't quarter unit some random baseball game on a Monday night. If there's a baseball game on a Monday night that I'd like to invest in, I bet a unit on it. It does more. I will challenge every one of you. Open up your betting history at some point and take a look at it, and look at all of what you're considering your baseline plays with full units, and then go through and look at all your nickels and dimes. Look at all your half units, your quarter units. Look at all of that stuff, and just put all the math together. And what did the quarter units and the half units actually do for you? Did it chip away at your profit because it was a WTF play and you didn't really like it, and so you're just going to throw a quarter unit at it? If that's the case, you shouldn't be in it. That's the case. If it's just we'll just throw some money at it. The game's on TV. I'm bartending. That's on TV. I used to have a bartender that he would bet whatever was on TV, and he didn't know anything about the game. He just picked the hat that he liked because he betted it was on TV. It gave him something to do. If you're just betting the game that's on TV and just going to throw a quarter unit at it, I mean, it's fine. If that's what you're in it for. But I mean, the challenge is, go look at all your quarter units and your half units, and what did it do for you? I'm going to guess that most of your quarter units, it either did one of 2 things. It either gave you this false sense of winning because you actually won. You won the plays, but it didn't actually define itself in a bigger number to your overall account balance, or you just flat out lost it. And so, or you just flat out lost it. And so it just chipped away at what you thought was a fantastic week. And then you're looking at it on cash out day, or you're looking at it and you're like, shit, I can't cash out. I just quarter unit. All these weird quarter units that I lost, $20 here, $10 there. It's only a quarter unit. So again, I only use the half unit if it's Saturday. We had 3 games going, and it wasn't looking good for any one of those 3 games. We found 2 live action plays that we jumped on real quick, and I kind of explained it, but I jumped on them both, unit, boom. And what that did was that all that did was that took those 3 games, and it gave us the ability to need to only win one more. But that was it. We hit those real quick. I'm not going back into anything else until we get that one more win, and now we're back to 3-2. If I'm watching it, and again, you guys know I don't bet Thursday night NFL, but at least I won't touch the game spread up front. But if I'm watching a Thursday night game, standalone game, that multiple plays there, that might be where I go back in for half unit. So let's say we got the first quarter, right? I got the game and I got the first quarter. First quarter wins. I'll go back in to something else that presents itself as a good opportunity with half of that profit, because I'm still waiting to cash out that end game, and I'll go in with half the profit. But I don't just kind of like it and go in for a half unit. I think if you like it enough to put money on it, you should bet your full unit. That's why, again, if you have $100 in your bankroll, your unit should be $7. Or if you have $1,000 in your bankroll, your unit should be $70. And that leaves you enough money to be betting full units on some of the live action. A quarter unit on live action, that doesn't fix a mistake, and that certainly doesn't profit you on, it doesn't buy you any extra credit. So it is what it is. And I'm going to get off my soapbox unless anybody has anything they'd like to ask or jump in with.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you 1 second, but give me a sec. I got to get my daughter JJ before she yells at me louder.
Yeah, man, fire away. Colin, I saw you join. What'd you say?
It was a good soapbox.
Well, it's important to think about this stuff because,
I enjoyed it. It was very, very beneficial. That makes a lot of sense. I can think of, just off the top of my head, a bunch of quarter units that it's like, that are exactly like, oh yeah, won that, but like, did it really make a difference? Not really. And then in the times it lost, which is probably more often than not, like you said, it's just thrown away. So you can eliminate that right away.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, we're Saturday morning at like 11:15 is probably the most dangerous time for all of us, because we got our baseline plays, maybe somebody scored, but there's really nothing going on just yet. So at that point, it's like, all right, what are we going to look at? And we find like 9 different things. Let's jump on this. Let's jump on that. And before you know it, you've thrown all kinds of money and you're overextended. So, and I balance myself that way. I don't allow for any more than 4 live bets at any one time, because I'm trusting these baselines. I mean, that my bankroll is balanced that way, and I actually push it because I cash out. I cash out, and my wife is trained to hold me accountable. She expects Ethereum twice a week.
Yeah, so I started my account with like $100, and then I was just doing $10 bets, so that was my unit, no matter what. And I would limit myself anything up less than $400 my account. Every bet was $10, no matter what it was, even up to $400. Once I felt comfortable over $400, I would either bump to 15 or max at 20. And I would play it that way the whole way, and then that was my safe. And there was times I'd venture out of my comfort zone, but even then, like, there was times I would get smacked for doing it. It was like, okay, back to my units, and it was like a learning lesson as I went through.
See, and what you're doing, you can't do it better than that. I would tell you to push it a little bit further, though. If you take $100 up to 400, you should probably cash yourself down to 200 and push your unit to 50. Right then and there, because you've paid yourself already, and then your 200 is probably going to grow to 700, and then you're cashing yourself down to 300 and you're at 20. And you know what I mean? I would tell you to push yourself that way. But what you're doing is working. You had a fantastic weekend. I don't know what you paid yourself on Monday morning, but you had probably a better weekend than most of us, because you were out there with parlays and all kinds of weird stuff that happened to cash. I don't recommend doing some of the shit that you just did, but it cashed for you. I mean, it just, I mean, the only thing I tell you is you should have cashed yourself out on Monday morning.
I definitely cashed out. It was nice. I was able to pay for my girl's rental car. It was like $300. Pulled that in and put some else for myself and cashed out that way. So I know I got part of a little cappers group. The guys are putting out. Some of these guys are putting out some really good picks that I follow, and I follow them religiously. On some of them, other ones are just mine, and I have a couple guys that I work with. We sit there and probably not what I should be doing during the day as a military man, but we're sitting there in the day for a solid hour and talking. What about this? Oh, I like this, or well, these odds are good. This spread's nice, and go back and forth. But today, hockey started up, and I know enough about it to put some bets out there. But
yeah, I'm not there yet with hockey. I need to see 2 months worth. There's a lot of moves that were made this offseason, and I need to see more in order to, and I'm spending all my time breaking down football, and I feel like football now has shown us who it really is. So, either way. Anybody else got anything before I move on to actual football? All right. So here's where I'm going. Let's talk about some odd spots. And I'll get into a couple of the picks before I post them. So odd spots this week. So this one, the Spartans. This is MSU. I will not say the M word. You guys know that, but they've actually been very profitable for us. They are 4.5-point favorite against Indiana. Normally, I would say this is a no touch because they play. Huh?
5 now.
Well, 4.5, 5. They go to Ann Arbor next week, and most of that, look, this. I don't know why Indiana continuously, year after year, they get all kinds of credit for they're coming. They play teams tough. I truly don't understand it. At nighttime against Ohio State, they've played them tough a couple times. But either way, they typically don't cover spreads as dogs. This is an 11 o'clock kickoff, and I think that the odds makers are expecting that MSU is going to lay an egg, thinking forward to their trip to Ann Arbor the following week. But 5, that just seems like an odd one. It just seems like a very odd one for Indiana to be even getting points in this game. Mel Tucker is a really good defensive-minded coach. I thought he was terrible in the NFL. I thought he was absolute garbage. But if you look at Indiana in their losses, they've lost 34-6, they've lost 38-24, and they've lost 20-0. And they played against Penn State. That was their last game. So they're coming off a bye. Maybe it's the bye that they're getting credit for. That they're gonna come back ready to take on Sparty. But MSU has a running back that is going to play on Sundays and have an incredible career. And what I see in this game, I think that Indiana has more of a trap game scenario because they get Ohio State the following week. So I don't know, that game I thought was odd on both sides, but I think at this point you guys could tell that when I post these picks, the Spartans -4.5, -5, I would go as high as -5.5. The Spartans, I believe, are gonna cover there. We saw App State last night in an odd position. The Cajuns have a very good running attack, at least for what they are and what division they play in. But we saw App State in an odd spot. They go to Coastal next week. And it's so crazy that because last year Coastal was a dog every week. We picked them every single week. They covered every game, including a huge win against BYU, and they were dogs. Now this week we're talking about App State thinking forward to Coastal as a trap game. But, we saw that odd spot. Bama and Mississippi State, that is a very odd scenario, right? All of us, we watched that game last week. We saw Bama go to A&M, and A&M's another one that's in an odd spot. But we saw Bama go to A&M, and and it was at night. And God, A&M. I mean, their head coach Jimbo Fisher said, if we're going to beat Alabama, I saw it. I saw the pregame, long after the game, but they made a thing of it. And somebody's taking a piss. That's great. That's exciting. Jimbo Fisher said, if we're going to beat Alabama, we need every part of this program to make plays. We need the coaches to make plays. We need the fans to make plays. And I mean, it took every ounce of energy that they had to beat Alabama. That being said, Alabama now against Florida and against A&M. Like, A&M is a team that 2 weeks ago lost to Arkansas, and Arkansas is not a bad team, but I'm sorry, Arkansas has no shot against. They have absolutely no shot against Bama, and we saw what happened with them against Georgia. So A&M struggled to cover. So the fact that they had Alabama beat and smoked them most of the game, that I'm pretty concerned for Alabama. This is their second game on the road now. They're going to Mississippi State. It's 17 points. It's 16.5. It's all over the place. What I'll say about Mississippi State is this: they have a fantastic coach. Leach was one of the godfathers behind creating the air raid, and so they can put points up, and they can put points up fast. I'm not saying to take Mississippi State. I'm saying that this is a very odd spot, and I'm just the knee jerk that we're all capable of is, oh my God, Bama's going to smoke them. Bama just got beat. They're going to smoke them. This is another night game, and they're going into Starkville, Mississippi. That is a loud stadium. It's at night. They got those crazy. They fill they got the weird cans that they fill with beans, and they shake them, and they got their cowbells and everything else. And I mean, it's a wild place. So, and this is the second road game at night in a row for Bama. Bama is a no touch for me this week. The following week we could probably come back and look at them to go over 28.5 in the first quarter, and all of those things that we've trusted Bama. But I got one more week of not trusting Alabama. They're gonna, the following week they get Tennessee, then they go LSU, and we can get back on them after they may come out and smoke Mississippi State, but I just don't like them in this spot. The next one that looks that I'm looking at is Arkansas. Arkansas is in a very interesting spot to me. Because this game, they lost the game on a really stupid coaching decision. I mean, they may have lost that game. They may have lost that game anyway. But they certainly, the coach didn't give them a chance to continue playing. But they're at home, and they're coming off of the toughest stretch of their season. They beat A&M, and then they got smoked by Georgia, and again, this Ole Miss game, I think that was a very good loss for them to only lose by 1 to a team that puts up those kind of points. They're at home against Auburn. The only problem I have with Auburn is they're coming off of getting completely smoked by Georgia. So this is an odd spot for both of them. We've been betting against Auburn for weeks now, and it's been profitable, but this is an odd spot for both of them, and I think we walk away from that game. My gun to the head, I would go Arkansas, because I like their defense, and that quarterback is very Cam Newton-esque. He really is, but I just think that Auburn, coming off of a loss the way that they did, it'll be interesting to see the way that they play against Arkansas, who's coming off a loss that probably gave them confidence. But I mean, that kind of coaching decision could really be a problem in a locker room. Like, what kind of coach does that? Like, it just, I mean, and I'm still pissed, like that, because we were all on Ole Miss, and it could have gone into overtime and covered for us. Like, I really wish that Arkansas head coach and his whole family get urinary tract infections, like the kind that itch and burn real bad. Like, I want them all to get UTIs. I mean, that was a really bad decision, but nonetheless, this is an odd spot for both teams. So that game's a no touch. Sorry, I'm fired up about it. The other game that is interesting to me, you guys are going to think I'm crazy, but this Kentucky-Georgia game, don't overthink it. I think Georgia's going to smoke them. I mean, it's 23 points, and I looked at it at first, and I'm like, that's wild. This is potentially a game where Kentucky may be under 10 points. I think Georgia could absolutely smoke them. 23 points seems like a lot. But the only concern I have is that Georgia is going to Florida the following week. But I don't. How's Kentucky going to score against Georgia? If you look at who Kentucky's played, none of it impresses me. I mean, they caught Florida sleeping. They caught Florida coming off of an odd scenario, but they beat Chattanooga 28-23. That I'm sorry, they beat Mizzou 35-28. They smoked LSU, but again, the five of us could put on some pads and go score points on LSU. This is an odd one just because it's a 23-point spread, and you look at Kentucky as the number 11th ranked team in the country, but I don't. Why not Kentucky number 11? I don't think that the AP poll is going to put Coastal Carolina at number 11, even though they belong there. But don't overthink it. 23 is probably a gift. I think the 44-point over-under, that's also a gift within the game. 44.5 points. Georgia can hang 30. Kentucky does not have a very good defense.
That's a good call on that one.
Yeah, well, we'll find out if it's a good call. But it seems weird at first glance, but just don't overthink it. The other game I'm going to go to Iowa. I'm going to go to Iowa. This is a strange one for me. Because it's an 11.5 point spread, and I look at this, and Iowa's at home, and I've been to a lot of stadiums, and Kinnick Stadium is the only stadium I've been to that is comparable to Arrowhead as far as volume. I mean, it is loud. I mean, it's incredibly loud. But I'm not trying to be a naysayer, but there's been some odd things that have happened. And Iowa's going to end up walking their gauntlet. I mean, they just beat Penn State without their quarterback. They're going to have to play Ohio State. It's inevitable. I don't understand. They can't score enough points to beat somebody by 10.5. The reason that they have all these points on the board is because of interceptions. They beat Maryland 51-14, but Tagovailoa threw 5 interceptions in that game. Throwing 5 interceptions, it probably takes more talent to throw 5 interceptions than it does to throw 5 touchdowns. So, Iowa played against Penn State and barely found 23 points. Penn State's one of the country's best defenses, but go back 3 weeks against Colorado State. They beat Colorado State 24-14, and CSU played a fairly clean game that week. So, there wasn't a lot of extra possessions. If you go back to the Iowa State game where, Iowa State was this potential playoff team and Brock Purdy, Heisman candidate quarterback and all that stuff, they beat them 27-17. But how many turnovers took place in that game? I realized that Iowa State is getting Iowa's getting interceptions every single week. So at some point, I probably need to give them more credit and just realize that they're picking the ball off. And it's more that than the quarterback's giving it away. But I mean, Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions in that game, and they only won by 10. So this is Purdue. Purdue is not great. They're not. I don't even think I would call them a good team. But 11.5 against a Big Ten team. Purdue's not getting smoked by anybody. Purdue got smoked by Notre Dame. Purdue got beat by Notre Dame 27-13. And that's kind of ugly because at this point the Irish have proven to not be anything special. But they lost twice this year, and none of them are terrible, and they don't turn the ball over that much. So 11.5 seems like a bit much. I'm not saying that Iowa can't cover it, but they're going to need turnovers in order to cover it. So that game for me is a total walk away. Some of my favorite talk radio moments is when Colin Cowherd went on that rant and he called Iowa the fake ID of college football. And I'm very much looking forward to what happens because they're going to lose a game at some point in the next couple weeks. I don't know if it's when they go to Wisconsin, when they go to Northwestern. Northwestern's that kind of team where you can underestimate them. And they do crazy shit. Like a couple years ago, they grew the grass. like 6 inches tall when they played Ohio State to slow them down. Like Northwestern's one of those teams, but Iowa is getting ready to go on a 2-game road trip. They could lose one of the next 3 games. I don't know that Purdue does it, but they don't need to win out. They don't need to go undefeated. They're going to be in the Big Ten championship. They're in the worst division of the Big Ten. They're in the division with Nebraska, Wisconsin, Northwestern. Like they're not playing in that Penn State, both Spartans and Wolverines, Ohio State, Penn State division. They're playing in the garbage one. They probably got to get one more win to find their way into the Big Ten championship. So Iowa's going to stumble. They're going to lose a game before they get to the Big Ten championship. I'm not saying that it happens against Purdue. I'm saying that 11.5, that's a point spread that they typically don't cover unless the other team helps them do it. And Purdue typically has some big boys on that O line that can help a run game along a little bit. So I'm going to throw out there tomorrow night for tomorrow night's play, and I'm not going to post this as a baseline. You guys just take it for what it is. But tomorrow night is hang on one second. I'm trying to look at this damn tablet. Tomorrow night, San Diego State against San Jose State. So I'll tell you that game's going over. That game's going over. San Diego State is averaging 35 points a game, and the over-under is 41. So that's a late night game. It's the Degenerate Special. It's one of those West Coast deals. And God, if Muhammad was on this call, we always have a joke when we're going back and forth on Saturday football. We always say, "You, my friend," when one of us does something stupid, "You, my friend, deserve to be betting the Hawaii game tonight." Meaning you lost your ass. You got to fix it with Hawaii, but. But either way, this San Diego and San Jose State, that's going over. San Diego State is probably the Aztecs are probably going to score 30. And, San Jose State, man, we've been on them a couple times. They can disappoint, but again, I believe the Aztecs are going to score 30 plus. And San Jose State, all we need out of them is 10. All we need out of them is 10 or 14. And I think we're going to get it. So tomorrow night, I'm sorry, this is Friday night. It's Friday night, not Thursday night. That's Friday night. Take that with the over. That's a good play. Don't overthink the other games. Don't do anything reckless like lay 14 on Clemson on Friday night. Oregon, California. One would think Oregon's going to cover, but I wouldn't overthink it. Marshall, North Texas. I really like North Texas and the points there. But again, I'm not going to play that game. The only play I'm going to have on Friday is the San Diego State San Jose, and that's a full unit play that'll cash us out going into Saturday. So, what else? What's everybody got for me?
How about the Arizona State Utah game?
So Utah's on my no touch list, and I like Arizona State. I like the way that they play ball, and their coaching staff is great. It's a bunch of NFL rejects that have somehow motivated their team. So I really like Zona State, but Utah's on my no touch list. They offended me earlier this season. It's a pick'em game, and it's in Provo. It's in Salt Lake. A pick'em game, you're probably in a good spot taking Zona State. Utah at home in that altitude can be very different. Very different altitude in Tempe than it is in Salt Lake City. But I don't think Utah's very good. They're just on my don't touch list. But I think you're, huh?
As a former Arizona State Sun Devil, I'm a little biased towards them, but people forget the elevation there is still over 1,000 feet.
Yeah, but the elevation in Kansas City is 950 feet, and I don't have any type of altitude sickness.
Right, but the point is you can travel a little bit better to those higher altitudes.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have never thought that.
Just a little bit. It's not the same as being on sea level.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're asking me if you should play Zona State, I think you're probably safe. I just won't do it.
I think we're going to get plus money here. So the line's moving. It's at 105 right now.
Is it still a pick'em?
It's a pick'em minus 105 right now.
So everybody's loaded up on Utah minus 115-ish?
Yep.
It hits minus 120, it'll turn. Minus 115, it might just stay that way, waiting for some money. But that's an odd one. I mean, I like Zona State's quarterback. I do. I don't think he's got the right coaching for the kind of quarterback that he is. But I mean, Utah's just kind of weird this year. I mean, they don't have the same rushing attack that they normally do, and their defense is usually a lot grittier than it is. But they're letting teams just throw the ball all over on them. And they're just an odd team. They're very odd. And I love Salt Lake City. I lived there for 8 months. My favorite city I've ever lived in.
Thanks, man.
What else you guys got? NFL? We didn't really talk about NFL.
We can always talk about Dallas.
Yeah, I think Dallas is the best team in the league right now. I think as far as their skill set, and we talked about future bets before. I play future bets just like a tax. I got $1,000 on a game. I win it. I throw $5 on a future. Every time every time I win something, I throw $5, throw $2. If you're betting $10 on a game, Jesse mentioned that $10 unit earlier, the $15. If you win your $15, throw $1 on a team that you like to win it all. I think Dallas is the most complete team in football right now, and I thought that McCarthy was a really bad hire, but Dallas is the only team in football in the NFL that is yet to have a bad game or even a bad moment. It's truly incredible, and they got so much depth. It's Zeke Elliott thanked Pollard. He thanked him. He said, the reason that I'm able to play so well is because of that guy. And he's talking about his backup covering for him so that he doesn't have to do this, that, or the other. And the Zeke Elliott I know is the very immature crab leg stealing kid at Ohio State, not the guy that's thanking his backup for supporting him. So it's kind of a mature approach, which the coaching is probably in the right place. So I think Urban Meyer, now I'm just babbling, but I think Urban Meyer just caught the best break of his NFL career with all the John Gruden stuff that's going on, because now Gruden gets to be the jabroni for a week.
Yeah, for real.
Longer than that. That dude's done.
He is done. He is. It's a different world that we live in, and it doesn't really matter that he did those things years and years ago. We're equal all across the board, all shapes, sizes, colors, genders, and I don't know how deep those emails go. And Gruden's very entertaining to me. So selfishly, he's entertaining when he's doing those Gruden's quarterback camps and everything else. But I mean, I get it. ESPN, Disney, family, you can't do that.
Hey, I know you said you don't have no thoughts really on the Thursday night game because you're not much of those. I know that. But I was looking at the Tampa's at 7, which it could be a trap game. I think Philly they have some of an offense to put up. They've showed the defenses last weekend a little bit, but again, their opponent wasn't really on the same par as what I think the Bucks are. Granted, I'm a little biased because I'm a Bucks fan, but I definitely bought the half point to go down to 6.5. I think that's an easy cover there, and then I forget what the halftime total is. But
so here's what I'll say about that game. So I've been playing Thursday night games, not with cash, but I've been playing Thursday night games in the Circa, and I do that because just simply picking winners doesn't do anything if I'm picking the same winner as all 3,000 people in the contest. But the Tampa is terrible against the pass. Like Tampa is dead last in the league as far as passing allowed. And so what I'll say in that game is, yes, on paper, Tom Brady and all these points. And I mean, it's very bad for your health to bet against Tom Brady. I mean, it is. And it's a hard thing to do. But neither one of these teams can rush the ball very well, which is great because they both have good rush defenses. But when you look at the passing and you look at how bad Tampa is at pass defense, what happens when Jalen Hurts fades back to pass or when he takes a couple drops? They're going to find some running yards that way. Like I think that if they're smart and they let Hurts run around and do some things, I think Philadelphia can stay in this game, and that's a very loud stadium. Tampa can't win them all. I don't know that they lose, but on Thursday night, I like my chances of getting a dog win. And this is a 7-point dog at home at night on prime time. It's just scary. You bought the half a point, which is probably the right thing to do. I would say if the half a point makes you nervous, you probably belong on the Philly side of things. But this is an interesting game because passing's going to have to do it. Both of these teams can't rush the ball, and neither team allows much rushing. So this could be a real big game for Jalen Hurts, who's played plenty of big ones. Like, we forget Jalen Hurts was the starting quarterback Heisman Trophy candidate against Alabama. Jalen Hurts has seen bigger moments than this before. So I say nothing. I hope that you win in cash. I won't touch this game, but this is a very scary spot for Philly because again, Tampa's 4-1. What's their record going to be this year, Jesse? Realistically, what is their record? The best record in football. If it was the best record in football, what are they going to finish with?
If it's the best record in football,
yeah,
14-3.
I'd say 13-4.
13-4. Okay, so 14-3. Fine. 17 games, 14-3. So let's look at their schedule. Where are those losses going to come from? I'm not saying Philadelphia, but they got the Bears, right? Probably not going to lose to the Bears. They go at the Saints, division opponent. There's some likelihood there. Jameis Winston, a little revenge there, but either way, I think Tampa probably wins that game. Now you go to Washington. Who knows? But then you got the Giants. That's a guaranteed win. So we got Washington questionable, Saints questionable. I don't think that the Falcons are going to be trouble. They're losing against the Bills. They're losing to Buffalo. So that's a guaranteed loss. That's 2 losses. We got 2 more to find or 1 more to find. It ain't going to be the Jets. It ain't going to be Carolina. So where are those losses coming from? It's usually not the best team in football that beats you. You remember the game where they almost lost to the Giants last year on Sunday night?
Yeah, that paid nice.
It did pay nice, I'm sure. So they're going to lose somewhere, and this is just like the perfect scenario for something to happen. I don't know, Jesse. I hope you get it. This game is just too scary. You got a far bigger pair of balls than I do to play this game.
Yeah, I mean, I just so I mean, I just go through it. I mean, we talked about the offenses there. I think offensive wise, the Tampa Bay is more complete and more consistent across the board. Philly does not have the receiver set, and they're still trying to figure out who their back is. Granted, Tampa doesn't really have a great back. Ronald Jones is a flash in the pan once in a while, and Fournette either can run the ball down your throat or just get stonewalled at the line, which I don't understand that, but it is what it is. But as far as the defenses, Tampa Bay's number 1 rush defense, but dead last passing, and I agree. And they're missing a lot of players. Now Levante David's out this week. He sprained his ankle, so that's a huge loss. So we have a lot of big key players out this week. But the primetime highlights and the pump that you get from playing on primetime Thursday night in Philly, it's starting to get cold. All those things are factors for sure.
Yeah, man. You asked about it, so I owe it to you to give you my honesty.
Brother, I love it. Yeah, that's why I love talking to you about it.
It's just Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night are the easiest games to lose. I love the college games on Thursday. That's why I just go college, and there's no CFL this Thursday. We didn't have CFL until Friday, which I still haven't seen the number on it, but I mean, that's bet against Winnipeg. It's good luck succeeding at anything in life if you want to bet against Winnipeg.
Jesse, I think your play is Hurts 1 touchdown each half or $1.15.
Maybe wasn't that a cool prop bet? that was
nice. Yeah.
I look for that every single game now.
Why not? They're gonna be behind. He's gonna pay you.
Yeah, that's. I like it. All right, what else? This might be the longest we've ever gone, which I'm okay with it. You guys are fun to hang out with.
Let's see what else. The Bears look like an easy loss this week at home against Green Bay.
They do.
Yeah, they're gonna get smoked.
They do. I'll tell you right now with the NFL, it's going to be a circuit play. It's going to be a baseline pick. I absolutely, hands down, love the Raiders. The Raiders are going to win outright. Forget the points. The Raiders are winning the game outright. I have this thing where every time a team loses their coach, you take them the following week because most of the time they're getting points, and usually a team loses a coach for a reason, right? The coach was bad for the team. If you fire a coach mid-season, it was because the ownership decided that there was something that was really bad destroying the team. I got to get this guy out of here. If they respected the coach and they were trying real hard, but we just got to go a different direction because this coach ain't quite, I'd like to have a more offensive coach, and, then they let him finish the season. But when a coach is removed mid-season, it's because he's ruining the team. Well, that wasn't the case with Gruden. I really, and I'm not, we're flirting with political stuff and lines, and I don't want to go there, but Gruden was not, he didn't resign, and he wasn't let go for being a bad football coach. It was all the other stuff. It was all that stuff that just couldn't be the face of a franchise. But this is not a team that had a problem with talent, and this certainly is not a team that had a problem with performance. This team, when you look at their statistics, they're one of the highest scoring teams in football. In fact, they're the second highest scoring team in football, and or they were at one point. So this is not a bad football team. They're not poorly put together, and they made the smart decision. They took the special teams coordinator and made him the interim head coach. So I think getting him out of there, I don't know, this wasn't a bad football team. This isn't like if Urban Meyer got fired tomorrow, I would not be telling you to take Jacksonville. That team is they need a couple more drafts. But the Raiders have one of the best rosters in the league. So if there was any type of distrust from player to coach, well, that's gone. They don't have to worry about that guy anymore. He's gone. These players are going to play motivated. They're going to smoke Denver. They're going to absolutely smoke Denver in Mile High. Denver's missing three of their top receivers. That's an easy play.
Were we 4-0 last year on new coaches in the NFL?
I think we were either 4-0 or 3-1 on fired coaches. There was one in college. There was a college coach we went with, and I don't remember what it was, but yeah, we were. Who was it that fired their coach mid-season and we took them? It happened twice. Wasn't Tennessee? Maybe it was Jacksonville.
Yeah, it was Jacksonville. I can't remember who they played, but I was like, really?
Yeah.
Maybe Houston also?
Yep, Houston was one of them. Houston was
else?
one of them. And that's crazy because Houston, Bill O'Brien got swallowed up by Alabama. It's such a genius move when that happens. They take because you fired the head coach. So Houston essentially is still paying Bill O'Brien. The same thing with Texas and Tom Herman. They put him on the payroll as an air quote analyst or specialist or consultant. And so like right now, the University of Texas is paying Tom Herman to be an analyst for the Chicago Bears. And at some point, he'll grow into an O coordinator or a head coach role. But they're just putting another head coach in the system that another team's paying for. It's genius. Bill O'Brien is qualified to run any college program in the country, and he's sitting there shining Nick Saban's shoes. And Tom Herman, it wouldn't surprise me if Tom Herman was the next head coach of the Chicago Bears.
Wow, I don't know about that.
Hey, so I got a question since you brought up Jacksonville. How about Jacksonville? Betting against Jacksonville based on their record, but minus, I think, Dolphins minus 3.5 in London. How do you feel about that?
So yeah, I actually like Jayville in this position. I really do. I think Urban Meyer's a good coach. Like he's not gonna. They're not going to go 0-16.
The whole team sucks.
The whole team does suck. The whole team does suck. That's for sure. Jacksonville is running the ball well, though. I will say that. And this Miami defense, last year we were on Miami quite a bit. Miami had like this 4-week run where they paid us, and they paid us as dogs, and they came up with interceptions. But Miami can't score points. Miami cannot score points, and Jacksonville's got the better rushing attack, and they got the better defense, and it's at 8:30 in the morning. What a weird game. It's in London, so I like Jacksonville in this spot. I really do. Jacksonville's coming off of a loss, and they're coming off a bunch of losses, but
Is Brissett out?
I don't know if Brissett is out or not. Is that a thing?
Well, he got hurt against the Bucks, and I know he was questionable. I think I saw. I didn't really read up on it, but
Yeah. I don't know. Miami's not scoring points. I mean, every game this year they've scored 27, other than the game where they scored 0 against the Bills, and they found a way to score 28 against the Raiders. But that was a game where the Raiders were just coming off of an odd loss. Who sits behind him? Now you got me. Now I want to search for this. I didn't know that Brissett got taken out. Reed Sinnett. He went to the University of San Diego, and he is a rookie. I'm sorry, it's his second year. So if Brissett does not play, that's who they're going with. Gentleman by the name of Reed Sinnett.
yeah, he's
Never
got like
heard
a
of
hamstring.
Yeah, so Reed Sinnett against one of the top rushing teams in football. And Jacksonville surprisingly is good against the rush. So this might be a good spot to take the Jags.
ESPN
Hey,
said
that's fair.
Tua is starting this week.
What was that?
ESPN flashed today that Tua is starting this week.
Tua. Well, it's probably even better for the Jags.
Oh, I agree. He's not very good.
It's probably better for the Jags. Tua was a great story in college. It's unfortunate. He's a good kid too.
The Jags are 0-17. When are they going to get their first win?
I don't know. I really
This
don't.
week?
Sounds like Sunday morning at I think 05:30 San Diego time.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense. It's you got military guys. It's 08:30 Central. So no, you guys are 2 hours. So I think it's 06:30.
6:30 in the morning. I'm not getting up to watch that game.
No, but it might be a nice cash to wake up to, and I'll bet there's once this Tua thing. What's the odds listed for right now on Bovada?
3.5 is last time I checked.
What about the odds on it?
I got them up right now. You're -3 for the Dolphins at -120.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's strong.
So you're 110 at Jacksonville right now for plus points. Even money now.
I could see that. You take the 3 points with Jacksonville.
You just gotta. They're 0-17. I get it. Just teams don't go 0-16 or 0-17. Teams don't go 16-0 either. Like they're gonna beat somebody. They're gonna beat somebody, and they're probably gonna beat 1 to 3 somebodies. So where's it gonna be? What?
You said 1 to 3 somebody's. Man, this team is going to go 1-17 or 1-16 this year for like a 1-34 record over 2 years.
Great. So where's the most jacked up scenario for them to win a game? Going to London, switch between 2 quarterbacks against a team that has no defense or no ability to score points at all. I don't know. I don't know that this is the one, but they're gonna win somewhere. They're not gonna beat Seattle. They're not going to beat Seattle the following week. They got no shot against Buffalo, Indy, San Francisco. I don't know that they're going to do much against Atlanta, although their game style, rushing the ball against Atlanta, maybe. They're certainly not winning at the Rams, at the Titans. The popular opinion would be that they will beat the Texans, that the Texans are that bad. I truly think that by 12-19, the Texans will have Deshaun Watson starting. I think you're probably about a month away from that. Nobody wants them, and the Texans are a poorly run organization, dumb enough to start him. But at this point, it's the news behind him. There's so many other things that everybody's being consumed by. Why not throw Deshaun Watson in there? You suck as it is. They're not going to beat the Patriots or the Colts. I don't know. They're going to. This is like a jacked up game where they might have a shot.
Yeah, I like it. Everything else is on on Sundays. So
Yeah.
you got a Halloween night and you got a Christmas, a day after Christmas and day after New Year's. So those are your 3 games to watch out for.
For Jacksonville.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's your 4 watch games.
While the world might want to get excited about Tua starting this game, when was the last time he started, and is he going to get hurt again? I don't know. Tua, I'm talking myself into wanting Jacksonville in this spot, so I actually might take Jacksonville in the circa this week. All right. That's it for me for tonight, unless you guys got anything else. You guys can message me anytime you like.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, let's cash some tickets.